Before we begin, we want to take a moment to thank each and every one of you. Seriously, your support, your comments, your stories, they mean more than words can say. Let us know in the comments where you're tuning in from. Whether it's a quiet corner of a small town or the heart of a sleepless city, we love knowing who's out there listening. Now settle in, because this one hits close. It all started on a chilly Colorado morning, the kind that slips under your jacket collar and makes the trees look like they're holding their breath. Nathan Callahan stood at the edge of his driveway, twirling his car keys between his fingers. The neighborhood around him, tucked into a quiet corner of Boulder, was still waking up. A light dusting of snow clung to the sidewalks. Somewhere in the distance, a leaf blower whined to life, disrupting the silence. The rhythmic drip of the coffee pot inside signaled another day. Ordinary, familiar. But Nathan didn't feel settled. Not completely. Something had shifted lately, subtle but sharp, like a splinter you can't quite find under your skin. Behind him, their house buzzed with morning chaos. His daughter Mia was refusing to wear her mittens again, and cartoons echoed from the living room where his son, Lucas, sat cross-legged on the carpet. It was loud, but it was home. "Lena, I'm heading to the tire place," he called through the doorway, tightening his coat. "Need anything?" Her voice floated down from upstairs, casual and sweet, tinged with the distracted energy she always carried when doing her makeup. "Nope, all set. Drive safe, babe." 8 years married, 2 kids, and a mortgage that stretched them thinner than they'd admit. And still, Nathan felt something when he heard her voice. A softness, a reminder of who they'd once been. Lena was sharp, magnetic. A project manager at a local media firm, always juggling deadlines and strategy decks. Nathan, on the other hand, had started his own logistics business after a corporate downsizing. It was stable, paid the bills, and more than anything, it allowed him to be present for the life they'd built. Wednesday mornings were his favorite, walking Mia to preschool, her stuffed flamingo clutched tightly in one hand. Friday nights were for homemade pizza and half-finished Netflix shows. Lena usually fell asleep by the second episode, and Nathan would carry her to bed, pressing a kiss to her forehead like it was a prayer. No, it wasn't perfect, but it was theirs. Or so he believed. The tire shop was a quick trip, 20 minutes round trip at most. But when Nathan returned, their Honda CR-V was gone. Lena's car. Not unusual in itself. Except the details didn't add up. The garage still held the warmth of a recently run engine. Passenger seat, reclined way too far back. And Lena, barely over 5 feet tall, always kept it upright. She once joked that reclining too far made her feel like she was waiting for dental surgery. It was a little thing. But little things mattered. Back inside, he caught the scent of her perfume. Floral, warm, unmistakably fresh. Recently applied. Not worn off like you'd expect after a normal morning. That evening she was upbeat. Too upbeat. She complimented his pasta 3 times, laughed a little too hard when Lucas knocked over his milk, and kept checking her phone when she thought he wasn't looking. She wasn't cold. She was performing warmth. And that unsettled him more than silence ever could. The next morning unfolded as it always did. Coffee, lunches, kids, routine. But Nathan had started watching more closely now, not with anger, but with a quiet, rational suspicion. Lena still did all the usual things, the quick kiss, the distracted smiles, but her eyes didn't land on his the same way. Her phone never left her hand, and when she laughed it sounded hollow, crisp, too clean, like a recording. Once, she'd laugh so hard she snorted, trying to stifle it behind her hand. He hadn't heard that laugh in months. That afternoon, when Lena took Mia to ballet, Nathan went to the garage. He opened the passenger door and stared. The seat was still too far back. On the floor mat, a faint shoe print, too large to be Lena's. She wore a size 6. This, easily a 10. He checked the center console. Same stuff as always. Gum, sanitizer, old receipts. But then a flash of something unexpected. A glittery hair tie. Not Lena's style. She hated glitter. Said it got into everything and never left. He just stood there staring at it. Something had changed. He wasn't imagining it. He wasn't being paranoid. He was seeing it clearly now. That night, after the kids were asleep and Lena was upstairs brushing her teeth, Nathan opened his laptop and searched. Private investigator near me, confidential. He didn't want to do this. But he couldn't not. Years ago, he'd been through something similar. Made to feel crazy. Later. Manipulated until his trust cracked like glass under pressure. He wasn't going to let that happen again. The next day, he met with David Crane, a private investigator with a no-nonsense approach and the eyes of a man who'd seen too much. They sat in a faded booth at a forgotten diner just off I-25. "You think your wife's cheating?" David asked bluntly. "I don't know," Nathan said calmly. "That's why I'm here. I don't want drama. I want truth." David nodded. "Most people say that. Until they get it." "I still want it," Nathan replied. And he meant it. Because the only thing worse than being betrayed was pretending you weren't.